of our commitment here at CBS News to stopping the stigma around mental health, we're bringing you the story of a mother-daughter duo who are donating books to raise awareness. Sonja Wasden and her daughter Rachel Sidaway co-wrote An Impossible Life. It details Wasden's struggle with bipolar disorder and how it affected her family and her friends. Before the pandemic, the pair traveled to libraries all around the country. Dr. Tara Narula has been following their story and joins us now. Good morning to you, Tara. Can't wait to meet them.
Good morning, Gail. We spoke to Sonja and Rachel right before the pandemic shut down libraries and halted travel. But that hasn't stopped them from sharing this message. Mental health does not discriminate based on location, education, or socioeconomic status. It can affect anyone. The mother and daughter story is one of love, hope, and triumph.
You just feel like you can't breathe. It becomes so painful that you no longer see your children, your husband, and all it is left is this pain.
Sonja Wasden has struggled with bipolar disorder for most of her life. You said that you stopped looking at death with sympathy and started looking at death with envy.
Yeah, I wanted to die. I was desperate to get relief of the pain, and that's the only way I saw out.
At 35, the mother of 3 was forced into a psychiatric hospital.
My husband had hit rock bottom and said, this is it. We've got to get her in the hospital. And I refused to go. And the doctors asked me, do you have thoughts of suicide? And I said, well, of course, just like you do. And when he said, well, how many times do you think of suicide a day? And I thought, well, just the average amount, just as often as you do. And so I was admitted against my will.
Was that the turning point for you in terms of starting to get on a road towards treatment?
Yes, yes. They started giving me medicine, and that's when they made me face my diagnosis that I was bipolar. And I did.
Rachel is the oldest of Sonja's children. Did you know that your mother was sick?
Growing up, all I knew was my mom was really fun, and then she'd get really sad. We were all aware she tried to take her own life, but because we knew ultimately she loved us and we were best friends, I could see her as a person going through something hard and almost feel more compassion for her as my best friend, as my mother I loved, instead of letting it be traumatizing. We all feel like we're this tight little army group that we're in a foxhole together, and we came out stronger for it.
Together, the mother-daughter duo wrote An Impossible Life, sharing their story of survival. At what point did you finally decide it was time to reveal your illness?
After my attempted suicide, I was taken to the hospital where my husband was CEO, and a leading psychiatrist there told him, never bring her back to this hospital again. Take her where no one knows you guys. And I felt shame and embarrassed. And there was like almost a fire that got lit in me of, I am not gonna hide anymore. The truth needs to be told.
And they've gone beyond just telling the truth. Before the pandemic hit, they traveled more than 32,000 miles on their own dime to 42 states and have donated more than 500 books. Since then, they have mailed more than 100 books to libraries that have reopened.
We're here to donate our story and to raise mental health awareness, one local library at a time.
They made something beautiful out of the pain, both for Rachel and Sonja's relationship.
Oh, it was so healing. When I was 16, I found my mom's suicide note, and I was really angry. I thought it was selfish that she'd want to leave me and my entire family just like that. And after writing this book with her, I have a better understanding of the pain she went through.
And for those who have read the book,
Oh my God.
like Kimberly Gwynn, who met Sonja for the first time at Brooklyn Public Library.
Reading Sonja's book was very powerful in the sense that it enabled me to forgive myself. It enabled me to have more compassion for myself, for the mistakes I made, because obviously you don't choose this. The book helped me understand what my family members would have gone through, but most importantly, it gave me hope.
By offering hope, Sonja has found purpose in her suffering to show readers what was once an impossible life is now a possible one. How are you feeling now?
Good. I have a beautiful life now. My marriage of 27 years is going strong. I have good relationships with all my children. I don't stay in bed all day anymore. Yes, I have a mental illness, and yes, I have moments of pain and anxiety and difficulty. It's a lifelong illness that I have to manage, but I can have a life worth living too.
Wow.
Sonja's father was diagnosed with bipolar disorder later in life and died by suicide. One of her sons was also diagnosed with bipolar disorder and is doing well. The most important thing they told us is to keep talking about it, especially now when many feel so isolated or alone. If you or someone you know is in crisis, contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255.
Wow, Tara, such
Bravo.
a powerful and important story. And you see the effect of people talking and coming out and telling their story, how healing it is for the person involved, for the family, and for anyone who's read this book.
But bravo to Sonja, though, when they
Yes.
go to her husband's hospital and they said, next time go someplace where they don't know you. And she goes, no, you can't do that to me. That's, Tara, that was very powerful. It's
So
going to help a
powerful.
lot of people.
All right, thank you, Tara.